Is it chargeable? Non-chargeable? Is it an expense? How do you make sure you get paid for the work you do and that you can explain the hours you weren't working with the client? Like that time you spent sitting in an office meeting or going through on-the-job training. If you go on a work-related trip, how do you make sure you get paid for the mileage or the night you spent at a hotel to finish up that audit work you did with your client? It's simple. You use work codes. So this is the work code screen in TPS. And yours should look similar to this if you use the conversion process in TPS when setting it up. If you haven't done that yet, you can come over here to where it says Tools, go to that drop-down menu and find Import, and just make sure you're on the Import Work Codes tab. And you can see there's a video here that explains exactly how to do it. If you need any modifications done to the Excel spreadsheet, we provide a conversion service for a fee. So please contact us here with this email and we'll help you out. But let's go ahead and focus on the work code screen. Similar to any kind of Windows filing system or even Mac filing system, you have your main type folder. Then if I scroll down here where it says tax preparation, that type folder, you can see that we also have a subtype folder and another one here. So a folder within a folder. And we go all the way down to the actual work code, which is what you choose on the time entry screen when entering time. If I scroll back up, you can see that right now all of our folders are expanded, but I can collapse them if I want to, and then you can open them one by one, or you can expand them again. You have a search field here. If you need to search for a specific work code, you can type it in here, and it will take you right to that work code, or you can click here to create a brand new work code. When creating a new work code, the first field you see is the parent field, and you can see it says none. When I click on it, there's nothing in the drop-down menu, and that's because if you look here under the hierarchy field, by default the system thinks you're making a type folder, so it can't have a parent because it is a parent. It's a main folder. If you're wanting to create a subtype folder or an actual work code, you would first need to come to hierarchy and change it. So if I wanted to create a subtype folder, now you'd see that the options I have in here are all the main type folders. So I'd have to choose its parent. If I wanted to create a subtype folder under the audit main folder, I would choose audit as my parent. If I choose work code, you see a little bit longer of a list because it has all the types and subtype folders in here. So let's say that I want to create a work code under the business planning and advice type folder. I choose that there. Next is the work code, which is the actual numbers that you see next to the work codes. And you can see that usually they're in order, like under audit here, which is 100, you have 101, 102, 103. I said that I wanted to create a work code under the business planning and advice type folder. So you can see it's 800, so 801, 802, goes all the way down to 811, then skips to 850. So I'm going to call this one 812. And then I have to give it a name. I'm going to go ahead and open this up again so you can see it better. For the name, I'm going to call it Other Business Planning and Advice, so that we have a work code to use under business planning and advice when nothing else really fits. Next, we have our type field. You can see we have chargeable, non-chargeable, and expense. So is this a chargeable work code? So can it actually be charged to a client? Is it non-chargeable? These would be used to explain hours in your day you're not actually doing work for a client. So maybe you'd create a non-chargeable work code for team meetings or training seminars, etc. Or is it an expense, which is also chargeable but just calculated differently? I want this to be a regular chargeable work code. Next, of course, was the hierarchy field, which we already went over. We said we're going to be creating a chargeable work code that can be chosen on the time entry screen when entering time. Then we have our description. These descriptions can be used later in billing as options for your billing paragraphs on the invoice. So you might want to input a short description of the work to be done using this work code. Think about wording it how you'd like it to appear on an invoice. That way it makes less work for you later. Or you can leave it completely blank. It's totally up to you. After that, we have our tax assignment. Your taxes are actually set up over here under Tools. If you find where it says Firm Properties, that's where you'd handle that. Here we're just choosing which tax applies to this work code. Then we have our rate level and unit. Rate level goes along with the rates you've set up for your employees. So if you set this work code at, let's say, a level 2 because it's fairly easy work, and employee Johnny charges $80 an hour for level 2 work, that's how this is calculated when he chooses this work code in the time entry screen. Employees and the rates they charge is explained in a video over here on the employee screen. If you're in there and you click the 3 dots, choose edit, we call that our employee property screen. There's a rates tab that has the video that explains all that. Then we have unit. This is where you decide whether this is just a regular chargeable work code, where you'd pick time and hours, or if this is an expense work code, you have to choose something else, like maybe the miles for mileage used driving to your client's office, or maybe you had to send paperwork via courier and you want to charge them a fee for that. You would choose that here. I'm going to pick time hours because mine's just a regular chargeable work code. You can see with both of these you have the options to add levels or units, edit them, delete them, or in the case of rate levels, you can actually change the order of them. Here you'll see you have the ability to make a work code inactive. So if you clicked on any of these and came in to edit them, let's say that you're no longer using that work code, so you don't want anyone choosing it going forward, you could just toggle this off to make it inactive and save. Once you've created your work code like we have here, you click save, and you can see right here is that other business planning and advice work code we just created. Now, if I were to click on any of these, it'd bring me to an edit screen, so I'll just go ahead and edit the one that I just created. So of course I could come in at any time and add a description if I wanted to, and just make sure I click save when I'm done. We also have the delete button. So you can delete work codes. Just keep in mind the system will not let you delete a work code that's been used on lines of time, so like in the time entry screen, or WIP, work in progress. If you decide you want to get rid of a work code and have everything tied to it moved to a different work code, you would need to transfer to a different work code so that all transactions with that work code would then change to the other in the system. So that's what this transfer button is for. If you click on this, you get the drop-down menu. You would just choose which work code you're switching to, that you're transferring everything to, and then make sure you click on transfer work code. If you just wanted to move a work code to a different parent folder, you can do that just by changing the parent. So if I wanted this to be part of audit for some reason, I would just come in here and change my parent to audit, and then it would move my work code up there under the audit folder. Once you've set up your work codes, you can use them on the time entry screen. So if I click to create a new time entry and choose a client, let's say Chilak Enterprises, I have to choose a work code. I'm going to make that wider so we can actually see the whole work code. But you can see we have chargeable work codes. If you scroll all the way down, you get to some non-chargeable ones. If I go even further down, I get to some expense work codes. Here, 812 is the one that we just created, so I would be able to choose that in there and then put in my hours and go on from there. And that covers your work codes quick overview. Thank you for watching.